Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Tuesday, June 13th. Jaguars Mandatory Minicamp Day 2 is in the books. Had a lot of fun out there today. It was a little bit hotter today. Certainly, there's no doubt about that. Sun was out. Sun was shining. Another quick practice, though. Jaguars have been getting in and out in these mandatory minicamp practices. Most of the veterans have been given the week off, so you don't see most of those guys out there, obviously. A lot of young players. Press Taylor and Mike Caldwell both met with the media prior to practice. Some of my biggest takeaways from today's minicamp are what Mike Caldwell and Press Taylor had to say, and we'll start off with Press Taylor, who spoke first. He said that Brenton Strange has had a lot of growth in terms of just understanding the different roles at tight end in the Jaguars offense, really kind of understanding where he needs to be, when he needs to be there, how he's interacting with the rest of the players on a play. So he's liked the development he's seen from Brenton Strange. I've seen Brenton Strange look like he's working his ass off. He's obviously incredibly well built, a really fluid athlete overall, and you haven't really seen him let the ball hit the ground. So you've liked what you've seen from him so far. Jaguars' second-round pick in 2023. Press Taylor also said he expects a step from the offensive line going into year 2 of this system, and he loves the versatility of the guys in that room when you talk about the fact that Anton Harrison obviously primarily played left tackle in college. Now he's going to play right tackle for the Jaguars, and they feel comfortable about that. You've seen Walker Little play on both sides. You've seen some of these interior offensive linemen play tackle, play center, play guard. There's a lot of versatility, and Press Taylor really values that, really appreciates that with the group they currently have. And once Cam Robinson is back from his suspension, however long that may be, we still don't know, they're going to have even more talent and versatility in that room, Press Taylor said. So he's excited about that. I'm excited about the 2023 Jacksonville Jaguars offense being designed for Trevor Lawrence and around Trevor Lawrence. Press Taylor talked about that today. They know better now what he does well. He knows better what he does well, what he likes to see in an NFL offense, on an NFL field. So everything they do is centered around what Trevor Lawrence is comfortable with and what he does well and what the guys do well around him. So I think you're going to see an offense, obviously they're going into year 2, so you're going to feel better about what you have going on. But I think with Trevor Lawrence taking a step forward with the addition of Calvin Ridley, some of the other offensive talent, I think you're going to see a much improved offense for the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2023. Switching sides of the ball to Mike Caldwell. He talked a little bit about K'Lavon Chaisson and why he feels more comfortable in 2023 going into a year where, final year of his rookie deal, he has a much clearer path to getting significant reps in 2023 as the roster currently stands than he did last year. Last year he was behind DeJuan Smoot. He was behind Arden Key. And obviously those guys were behind Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen. So no DeJuan Smoot right now. Arden Key is in Tennessee. So K'Lavon Chaisson kind of in that third edge role right now. And of course he's not at practice, but Mike Caldwell talked about he sees a lot more confidence from him in the scheme, and that does make sense. This is the first time in K'Lavon Chaisson's career that he has been on the same defense 2 years in a row. Rookie year, still had Doug Marrone here and Todd Wash, obviously. Second year, Urban Meyer comes in with Joe Cullen. Shout out to Joe Cullen. I do think he did an admirable job considering everything that was going on in Jacksonville. And then Doug Peterson and Mike Caldwell come in 2022. He's now going into his second year in the same defense for the first time in his NFL career. So Mike Caldwell feels good about that. We'll see how it plays out for K'Lavon Chaisson. Caldwell said that Devin Lloyd is playing faster, that the game is slowing down for him, that he's anticipating a lot more what's going to happen. And Devin Lloyd is out there this week, second year in the league. He and Chad Moomer are both out there, the linebackers from the 2022 draft class for the Jaguars. I think you've loved what you've seen from him so far. He's playing faster like Mike Caldwell said. He's doing all the things that you saw from him in 2022 that were positive and trying to eliminate some of the negatives. And I think some of the negatives really came from the mental and physical side of it last year. I heard him talking a little bit with Hayes Carline after practice, and he certainly mentioned that the injury last year in training camp, he thought his body was ready. It wasn't quite ready after all that. And then he also talked about the fact that mentally there was just so much to gather. And playing linebacker in the NFL as a young player is very difficult to do. I expect Devin Lloyd to take a step forward, and so does Mike Caldwell. Caldwell talking about Antonio Johnson, safety out of Texas A&M. The Jaguars drafted in the 5th round this year, a guy that a lot of people are fired up about. Probably should have been a day 2 pick. Not sure why he fell all the way to the 5th round, but they just want to find out what they want him to do over minicamp and, of course, getting into training camp in July. They think he can play both safety and nickel. I'll tell you what right now, though. If you're playing him at nickel, you need to be in zone. I don't think you want him covering an Amon-Ra St. Brown or a CeeDee Lamb or any of these slot superstars one-on-one in man-to-man coverage. But in zone coverage, yeah, I think he can absolutely play the nickel for you a little bit. But to be quite honest, I don't think Trey Herndon can cover those guys in man-to-man coverage either. That's just me personally, but we'll see how it all plays out. I do expect Antonio Johnson, who continues to flash, to earn a role with the Jaguars at some point in 2023 on the defensive side of the ball. He's going to contribute on special teams from the jump, but I think he's eventually going to work himself into a little bit of a role. It's just a crowded room at safety right now and at nickel. Obviously, you don't have a ton of high-end talent at the nickel position, but you do have a lot of competition there. Caldwell also said the main reason the Jaguars coaching staff and brass believes that they can impact the quarterback better in 2023 is because they have guys that have been getting better at edge with more reps. He really believes in Caleb Von Chason. He believes in Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen. Also talked about Jordan Smith, Deshaun Dixon. I think they do have some options of guys that really could elevate. Of course, Yasir Abdullah, the rookie, coming in. But for me, I still think you would like to have one more veteran in this group. That's just me. We'll see how it plays out. Foye Oluokun. This is a guy, veteran, given the week off, but he is in the facility this week. He's been in all the meetings. He's showing his leadership. He's coaching up the young guys, just kind of wanting to be there with his team. He doesn't want to take the week off. He wants to be there. That's the sign of a great leader, a guy that you want to have in Jacksonville for a long time to come. Plays a position where they have now kind of been adding a lot to that group through the NFL draft over the last couple years. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out long term. But for 2023, Foye Oluokun, I think, is going to be the heart and soul of the Jaguars defense once again, just like he was in 2022. Ventrell Miller, he's still working his way back. Speaking of linebackers that the Jaguars drafted over the last couple years, Ventrell Miller, the 4th-round pick out of Florida, working his way back from an injury. He's been working off to the side. Christian Braswell was working off to the side a little bit as well. The late round pick cornerback that the Jaguars are expecting to come in and compete for that nickel spot potentially. Did see, as I mentioned earlier, Antonio Johnson flashing again. Yesterday he had a near interception. Today he was able to strip the ball from Kevin Austin. So you love to see him getting his hands on the football, being around the football, being a playmaker. The Jaguars, they want to be a team that turns other teams over. If Antonio Johnson can continue to prove that he can force turnovers and get his hands on the football, which he did at a high level at Texas A&M with the forced fumbles, I think you'll continue to see him kind of elevate himself in the coach's eyes. Nathan Rourke, the only quarterback at minicamp right now. What I've seen from him so far, and I expect it to be Trevor Lawrence and then C.J. Beathard as obviously the 1 and 2 for the Jaguars. But Rourke, you'll probably see him, in the training camp, in the Jaguars training camp, and I think you'll see him in the preseason as well. So what I've seen from him so far, he has some wheels. There's no doubt about that. He can really scoot, make some plays, make some people miss. He's shifty. He likes to run the ball, it looks like, likes to get out on the move. He's made some really nice throws over the first couple days. He's also had some really bad misses. He's been inconsistent with his arm. But the one thing I think you'll definitely see throughout training camp and the preseason is his ability to make plays with his legs. And I'll tell you what right now about Tank Bigsby, the running back out of Auburn, 3rd-round pick for the Jaguars. He's going to end up being the Jaguars' RB2 in short order. He has an unparalleled skill set outside of course, RB1 Travis Etienne, who's one of the fastest, most explosive backs in the league. But Tank Bigsby brings a little bit more power. He still has plenty of speed, plenty of agility. He's shown off his hands in a big way over the course of the last 2 days. He's really made some incredible catches away from his body, hauled in a one-hander and running back drills. And then when you got into offense drills, catching balls from Nathan Rourke, he was able to kind of reach back behind him and go snag a ball out of the air. So I think that Tank Bigsby, his overall skill set, his ability to run with power, but also be able to pick up chunk plays with his speed and agility and creativity. And then obviously he's trying to work on improving the pass protection, and he's also showing that he has really tremendous hands. I think Tank Bigsby is going to work himself into an RB2 role, and I think he might end up stealing some carries from Travis Etienne in certain situations, so we'll see how that plays out. One last guy I wanted to shout out, Deshaun Dixon. Haven't talked a ton about him this offseason. He is another edge that will be competing to try to elevate himself and elevate the back end of that room. He was an undrafted free agent last year who had a really good training camp and preseason for the Jaguars. He made a couple standout plays in the team period of practice today. So really good to see that from him. You want to keep your eye on him throughout the rest of the summer for sure for the Jaguars. A young player who could cement himself on the roster. We'll see how it all plays out, but that will do it for this minicamp day 2 recap. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. If you're looking for some new Duval gear, you can check out genjag.com/shop. Got a lot of fun stuff up there. We just dropped a pre-order for the Duval is Coming tee. Check it out, genjag.com/shop. Please hit that like and subscribe button as well if you enjoy what we do here. Really helps support the channel. Notification bell so you don't miss a show. Have a good one, Duval.